Fighting games have some of the most iconic characters in entertainment history. You got Ryu, Scorpion, Jin, Liu Kang. These are characters with deep, in-depth storylines, incredible fighting styles, and some of the most passionate fan bases spanning decades. So the question is, why after 30 years of trying, has Hollywood never truly made a great fighting game movie apart from the original Mortal Kombat? And trust me when I say this, some of these casting choices alone will make your jaw drop. Let's start with the one that started it all. Street Fighter, the year's 1994. Now look, Raul Julia as M. Bison is actually genuinely iconic. The man pretty much carried the film. He delivered some of the most iconic lines and we respect that forever. But everything else? The film turned into one of gaming's most serious martial arts stories, really into a comedy action film that barely resembled the source material. My favorite Street Fighter character is Guile, an American military soldier. Massive 23-inch pythons became the main character instead of Ryu and Ken. I love that. Here's the thing about Street Fighter that Hollywood completely missed. Street Fighter is about the pursuit of martial arts mastery. It's about fighters from different cultures coming together to really test out their skills. That there is not a simple action movie plot. Hollywood saw fighting games, they thought, action comedy. Let's not take these video game stories too seriously. And you know what? In my opinion, they got it completely wrong. Now let's talk about something every fighting game fan notices immediately when a movie gets announced. Do the character that they main actually look like the character in the film? The casting. Because Hollywood has a habit of picking actors who actually look nothing like the character fans have loved for decades. For example, the Resident Evil movie, it was actually pretty good. But my favorite character, Leon, oh my gosh, what did they do to him? This brother here, I'm sorry man, no disrespect, but you ruined the film. You look nothing like Leon. And then you have Blanco, who literally is like a Hulk in Street Fighter with electric, was played by a normal looking actor with some green paint. And then my favorite character, Guile, the guy with the 23-inch pythons, funny haircut. This chiseled military man with the most iconic flat top haircut in gaming history was played by Van Damme. Now guys, I'm not hating on Van Damme. I grew up on Van Damme. So many great martial art films. Nobody's questioning Van Damme, but hey, the elephant in the room. Guile's entire character is about American military pride and stoic discipline. Van Damme's natural charm and the Belgian accent, it kind of made that difficult to sell, to be fair. And now we have the Tekken 2010 film. Oh my gosh, this was a disaster. Jin Kazama, one of the most visually distinctive characters in the fighting game history. Really good looking, buff. Alright, they're going to struggle to get that guy, right? That specific look that Tekken fans have associated with Jin for decades, it's very specific. The actor that they casted looked like a generic action movie hero with none of Jin's distinctive visual identity. And then we have Mortal Kombat in 2021, where they genuinely tried harder than most guys, but they still missed with certain characters. Here's the fundamental problem. These characters have been drawn, they've been rendered, and they've been animated to look like a very specific way in the video game. Fans have an emotional connection to that exact look. I want to see someone that looks like my character, if not 90% close. When the casting doesn't honor that, for me, I feel an immediate disconnect. I don't know how you feel, but before a single line of any dialogue, before a single fight scene, the trust is already broken. Like, I was hesitant about watching the Michael Jackson film, but then I saw, you know what? He kind of looks like MJ, Jafar Jackson. That's his nephew. I gave it a chance and it was phenomenal because he looked like MJ. He talked like MJ. He danced like MJ. He sang like MJ. Crazy. Now, when the Mortal Kombat film came out in 1995, this was actually ahead of its time. It holds up till this day. It really actually brought the characters to life because when you play Mortal Kombat 1, you just have an idea of what they're like. And to be fair, that Mortal Kombat film was all about Kerry Tagawa. Rest in peace, my brother. You brought Shang Tsung to life. The story was actually more about Shang Tsung than everyone else. Liu Kang was okay, Johnny Cage, okay. Everyone else was okay. Sub-Zero and Scorpion and Raiden, they were cool. But, important, they look like the characters. This was a larger-than-life performance because when you think Mortal Kombat, you just think of Kari Tagawa. His performance was phenomenal. And this is an exception when you have exceptional actors. And then came Mortal Kombat Annihilation in 1997 and destroyed everything that was built in the first film. The characters that were introduced were killed off in a couple of minutes. Johnny Cage. Storylines made no sense. Special effects that actually look worse than the games they were played on. They tried again in 2021. And honestly, it got some things right. Now we have the technology of AI and they had Goro. Goro felt right. But I can honestly tell you, I don't know what the storyline was. Like, okay, it was violent. It had fatalities. It stayed true to Mortal Kombat. Scorpion didn't have that fear factor. He looked nothing like Scorpion. He didn't carry that aura of Scorpion. They respected the source material, but they made one choice that confused the entire fan base. They created a brand new character, Cole Young. That firstly, the name sounds horrible. He doesn't sound like a Mortal Kombat character. When you got characters like Shang Tsung, Scorpion, Sub-Zero, you got these iconic names. Raid, you got Kung Lao, you got all these iconic names. Then you got a brother called Cole Young. Give me a break. And they put him as the main protagonist instead of using Liu Kang. Come on, are you guys kidding me right now? When you have the most recognizable rosters in entertainment history, why create someone new? Is there a genuine disconnect with the fan base? Do they not care? Hollywood's instinct is always to create a surrogate character for the audience to follow. But Mortal Kombat fans, we don't need a surrogate. These are characters that we grew up with, we connect with. That disconnect between Hollywood, now between what Hollywood thinks audiences need and what fighting game fans actually want, is at the heart of every failed adaptation. The Tekken film from 2010 had arguably the richest source material of any fighting game. It had the Mishima saga, 3 generations of family conflict, one of the most compelling villain stories in gaming history. You had Heihachi Mishima throwing Kaz off a cliff as a child, Kazuya making a deal with the devil for revenge, Jin caught between both legacies. That's not video game story. You could say that's a Shakespearean tragedy. The film gave us a generic movie where Jin just fights his way up the bracket in what feels like a low budget material martial arts film with the Tekken characters just named to it. Now, Heihachi was actually played by Kari Tagawa, but thank God, no one remembers him as Heihachi Mishima. Now, Heihachi for me is actually one of the greatest gaming villains, like a man of enormous presence, power, and just, he's very complex, but I like him. He was just reduced to a standard movie bad guy, and I don't know if Kari Tagawa had any creative input in that. Now, the soul of Tekken is the Mishima family curse, the generational trauma, the supernatural devil gene running through their bloodline. None of that was explored properly. Here's something fascinating that most people don't realize. The best fighting game adaptations have always come from Japan, not Hollywood. For example, let's look at the Street Fighter 2 animated film, right? It was made in Japan. It was true to the story. It stayed real. It built up all the characters. There was character development with Ryu. You found out how Sagat got that scar. Guile was okay chasing around Chun-Li, but you see, the fights felt authentic. The tone respected the source material completely. Tekken Blood Vengeance wasn't that bad. Yes, it was a CGI animated film. I wouldn't watch it again, but it was better than the 2010 film. It gave us at least the Mishima saga. Now, the questions we need to be asking is, why does Japan get it right and Hollywood really doesn't care? Because Japanese creators truly understand something that is really fundamental, that these characters aren't costumes to put actors in. They are the story. Like, for example, when I watched the Transformers Michael Bay films, it was made more about the humans, but I wanted to see how the Transformers were. I wanted to know more about their story. Now, the fighting philosophy, the cultural backgrounds, the specific identity of each character, these aren't details, guys. They're everything. Hollywood treats fighting game characters as templates. However, Japanese creators treat them as people, as real iconic characters. And us as the audience, we're not stupid. We feel the difference immediately. So guys, after everything, What would actually make a great fighting game movie? Now, the original Mortal Kombat, they kind of had that. But what did they have? They had great actors. As someone who's been playing fighting games for 30 years, this is my take. Firstly, respect the law of the fighting games. I know you're trying to bring in new audiences, I understand. But please don't water it down. The stories in these games are rich enough without needing a new invention. Second, for me, the most important, the casting. I cannot watch the new Mortal Kombat film that just came out. For me, Scorpion doesn't look like Scorpion. For me, Quan Chi doesn't look like Quan Chi. They may have got Shao Kahn right, but they still got that Cole Young character in there. I have no interest in the new Mortal Kombat 2 film. I don't even care if they got Ed Boon involved. It doesn't interest me because you've lost me as the audience. If the character is Chinese, cast a Chinese actor. If the character is Japanese, cast a Japanese actor. If the character has a specific iconic look, for example, Guile's flat top. Do not cast Cody Rhodes. He looks nothing like Guile. He hasn't got 23-inch pythons. He looks like a mini version of Guile. For me, the most important thing is the actors have to look like the characters. The backlash the actor got from Resident Evil is not his fault. They casted a Hispanic guy for Leon. Leon is not Hispanic. Thirdly, focus on one story told brilliantly rather than trying to cram the whole roster in into 2 hours. Can we do that? You want to do a Tekken film, make it about the Mishimas and then do Tekken 2 about the other characters and bring them in. A Mortal Kombat film that genuinely follows Liu Kang's journey from the Shaolin Temple to Earthrealm Champion, told with the weight and the mythology, with the serious source material it actually deserves, that would be incredible. The passion is there, but unfortunately, I will not support these shit films. Now the new Street Fighter film is coming out, and it looks like a comedy. I have no hope for it. I don't think I'll go watch it in the cinema unless I'm forced to go. I had no interest in the new Mortal Kombat film. It just got released. I don't even want to watch that. I don't even think I'd watch it if I'm really bored. The storyline in the new Mortal Kombat games are better than the actual movie. What does that say? Here's me hoping eventually someone gives the FGC the movie it deserves. That'll be like, wow, that's a 10 out of 10. Mortal Kombat, the original, was close. I'll give that a 9 out of 10. When they do, it'll be worth the wait. Let me know in the comments, guys. Which fighting game do you think deserves a proper film? Which character actually annoyed you so much that you were like, this looks nothing like my character. What have you done? And who would you cast for your character? Let me know in the comments. If you like the video, give it a like. If you want to see more of this content, hit the subscribe button. I am Ozzy, and I hope you have a lovely day wherever you are. Peace.